In the towns of Edo, an unimaginable system existed where residents constantly monitored each other. What was the terror that this dehumanizing system inflicted upon its people? This system, known as Gonin Gumi, enforced collective responsibility. If one member violated the rules, the entire group was punished. But, in fact, this system concealed an even more astonishing and terrifying aspect that struck at the core of human nature. What truly was the fear that the Gonin Gumi inflicted upon its people? In this video, we'll explain why the shogunate created such a system, why group members denounced each other, and what legacy this system left for modern times. Now, let's delve into its true nature. In the main segment, we'll also detail the surprising reasons why the Gonin Gumi was eventually dismantled. The Gonin Gumi system began in the early Edo period, after Tokugawa Ieyasu unified Japan. The shogunate sought a new governance system to control the populace. Its main objectives were tax collection and maintaining public order. Managing each farmer and townsperson individually was difficult, so a system requiring mutual responsibility was necessary. Specifically, 5 households in the same area formed one group, with a kumigashira appointed as their representative. They were obligated to monitor and report on the group's activities. All group members bore collective responsibility. If one person committed a crime, everyone else became subject to punishment. This was an extremely harsh system. From unpaid taxes to arson, gambling, and even Christian faith, all faults or crimes by group members were considered the entire group's responsibility. However, initially, this system also carried a strong element of mutual aid. It had aspects of a community where people helped each other during disasters and supported those in need. But as the shogunate's control strengthened, the Gonin Gumi gradually transformed into a tool for surveillance and denunciation. This trend became particularly noticeable from the mid-Edo period onwards. Kumigashira were strictly ordered by the magistrate's office or local governors to report all actions of their group members. Any suspicious activity had to be immediately denounced. Neglecting to denounce could result in the kumigashira themselves being punished. Indeed, a web of surveillance was cast over society, encompassing even the kumigashira. Group members were constantly gripped by the feeling of being watched. The fear that neighbors, friends, or even family members might be watching them. This psychological pressure profoundly affected people's daily lives. The inherent warmth of community was lost, replaced by a swirling current of suspicion and paranoia. For instance, imagine a group member became ill and couldn't pay taxes. Fearing collective responsibility, other members might not only refuse to help but even push them away. At times, individuals even denounced their comrades to avoid collective responsibility. The human instinct for self-preservation was brought forth by the system. The escalation of this surveillance was driven by frequent famines and social unrest during the mid-Edo period. The shogunate, fearing the rise of malcontents, was compelled to intensify surveillance. To nip the buds of rebellion in the bud and maintain order, a system where residents monitored each other was likely considered the most efficient. As a result, crime might have temporarily decreased. However, the cost was the loss of public trust and the free human spirit. How did the constant psychological burden of being watched transform people? Its impact was far more profound than imagined. The Gonin Gumi system erected high walls between people. Casual interaction with neighbors diminished, and the desire to protect secrets intensified. Society became one where everyone was wary of each other. The fear that minor actions or words could lead to denunciation made people cautious in their speech, robbing them of freedom of expression. There was likely almost no place where they could speak their true feelings. For example, expressing dissatisfaction with shogunate policies could quickly lead to denunciation, potentially making the entire group subject to punishment. As a result, people learned the art of concealing their true intentions. Punishments under the Gonin Gumi system were sometimes exceedingly severe. Unpaid taxes could lead to property confiscation, serious crimes to banishment from the village, and even seppuku was a possible penalty. Furthermore, this system was widely applied not only to samurai but also to commoners like townspeople and farmers. Regardless of status, everyone was subject to surveillance. Surveillance was particularly strict for travelers and outsiders. Upon entering a village, they were immediately reported to the Kumigashira, and their purpose of stay and identity were rigorously checked. The Gonin Gumi, which also served a role akin to modern-day residential registration, fundamentally supported the social system of the Edo period. This harshness was beyond imagination. How did people attempt to survive within this increasingly severe surveillance network? Beneath the surface of obedience, various forms of resistance emerged. One form was the use of taitme, public facade, and han, true feelings. While maintaining an obedient attitude in public, people likely vented their dissatisfaction and grievances privately as a release valve. There were also attempts to find loopholes in the system. For instance, efforts were made to avoid shogunate intervention by secretly resolving internal group disputes rather than making them public. Private sanctions like murahachibu, ostracism, also operated behind the Gonin Gumi system. Those who disrupted group order faced isolation from the village community, separate from official punishments. However, even these forms of resistance could not erase the underlying terror. The Gonin Gumi continued to cast a deep shadow over the hearts of the people of Edo. By the late Edo period, the Gonin Gumi system became a mere formality, and its role diminished. Changing social conditions and an awakening of public consciousness were among the contributing factors. After the Meiji Restoration, the new government abolished the Gonin Gumi system. However, the underlying spirit of mutual surveillance and community consciousness deeply persisted within Japanese society. So, what did the Gonin Gumi system bring to Japanese society, and what lessons has it left for modern times? Let's now uncover those answers. The shogunate created the Gonin Gumi system for efficient governance and public order. It was, in a sense, a rational choice. Instead of directly managing a vast populace, they used collective responsibility to enforce surveillance. Group members denounced each other out of fear that they or their families would be punished under collective responsibility. Human instinct for self-preservation became the driving gear maintaining the surveillance system. And what this system left for modern times was the light and shadow of Japanese society. A valuing of group harmony, yet sometimes giving rise to peer pressure and a tendency to look the other way. The Gonin Gumi was an efficient governance system, yet simultaneously it instilled deep fear and distrust in people's hearts. What lessons should we learn from this history? It compels us to reevaluate the dignity of the individual within a group and the ideal form of a society built on trust. The terror of the Gonin Gumi may not be a mere story of the past.
History still hides untold stories. Subscribe for more forgotten history.